So in the mechanism of blood clotting, it requires the participation of 13 factors, that is 13 blood clotting factors are there. What are those? Say for example, okay, let's write it like this. Fibrinogen, prothrombin. Okay, next is thromboplastin. So fibrinogen is the first one. Next is prothrombin, and then thromboplastin. Fourth one is calcium ions. Next is proaxelerin. Next, procavertin. Next, antihemophilic factor. Next is plasma thromboplastin component. Next is Stewart or power factor. Next, one more is plasma thromboplastin antecedent. Next is Hagman's factor. Okay, last one is fibrinogen stabilizing factor. So how many are there in the list? See, a factor 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 are there. Then we have mentioned 13, right? One is presence of one is not yet proved. What is that one? Okay, next is 5, 6, next 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Which one is missed there? 6 ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡಿರಾ? ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ 6 ಅಂತ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಯಾರಾದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ? I have not written 6 here. Right? So presence of factor 6 is not yet proved. So the presence of factor 6 for the blood clotting is not yet proved. So hence there are 12 factors are available, are known one, which are involved in the clotting of the blood. So anyone may be asked in the NEET or the CET examination from this list. Okay, which is the fourth blood clotting factor? Calcium. Yes, calcium. Third one is thromboplastin. Tissue thromboplastin or the plasma thromboplastins. Means a series of enzymatic reactions or the cascade of events takes place, right? In that, which one is involved first, next, like that. On that basis, this is what the sequence of the factors which are involved in the blood clotting. Yeah, sixth one, presence of that one is not yet proved. Maybe. Yes, we can give the name, but here, what is the function of that sixth one? Where it is present, and what is the mechanism, what is its participation during that one? It's not proved. Completely it is not proved. So only that list, the name of that factor will not be included in this list. Okay, so why it is not yet involved means not yet discovered, or why its function is lymph. Yes, what is lymph? Before that, we must study how the formation of the lymph takes place. So what answer you said, that is the fluid from the blood which diffuses or squeeze out of the blood capillary into the interstitial space. That is initially called as tissue fluid, but later we call it as a lymph. Okay, the tissue fluid is only called as lymph when? No. When it enters into the lymphatic system, then only we call it as lymph. Before that, it was only the tissue fluid or the interstitial fluid. So lymph means here. See, the fluid component of plasma. So what is that fluid component of the plasma means? That is water. Water is present in the plasma, right? Yes, along with the water soluble substances in the blood. Water soluble substances in blood. Okay, they squeeze out of such components. They squeeze out of blood capillaries into where they squeeze? Yes, interstitial space at tissue that forms the exuded fluid from the blood plasma, that forms tissue fluid. Means tissue fluid is nothing but part of the plasma or the component of the blood plasma which squeezes out or exude out of the, what is that one? Blood capillaries. So they squeeze out of the blood capillaries into where? Into the space present at the tissues or between the cells, what is called as the interstitial space. Then that fluid is called as a tissue fluid. Okay, what is the component of this tissue fluid? See, both tissue fluid as well as the plasma are having equal components. So composition of tissue fluid which is equal to blood plasma in composition. Then what will be left behind in that blood capillaries when the water and water soluble substances squeezes out of that one? Yes, squeezes out of the blood capillaries, leaving what it? A large proteins and formed elements. Large proteins and formed elements in blood capillaries only. So formed elements and then the large proteins will be left behind in the blood capillaries. Only the liquid part, that is water and water soluble substances, means water soluble proteins or the other components, means including the nutrients also, they diffuse into the interstitial space. Okay, from that interstitial space, that is when it forms the tissue fluid. So remember, this tissue fluid is the one which is involved in the exchange of the material with the tissue. So from this tissue fluid only, okay, there will be the exchange of materials occurs between tissue and tissue fluid. It provides nutrients and oxygen to the tissues. In return, it will withdraw or it can take up carbon dioxide and metabolic waste produced by the tissue. Carbon dioxide as well as metabolic waste produced by the tissue. So that it is involved in exchange of materials between blood and then the tissue. So only this tissue fluid acts as middleman. It acts as a middleman in body. Middleman in. So which tissue or which of the substance or the component acts as a middleman in our body means that is nothing but tissue fluid only. Tissue fluid. Such a tissue fluid once formed, it cannot remain as a tissue fluid only, right? This tissue fluid then it enters into a network of lymphatic capillaries and lymph vessels of lymphatic system. Now tissue fluid is called as tissue fluid is called as lymph. Means only after entry into the lymphatic capillaries, the tissue fluid is called as lymph. Before that, it was present as only the tissue fluid. When it enters into the lymph capillaries of the lymphatic system, now it is called as lymph. Vessels, right? Then it is called as lymph. So, the tissue fluid enters into network of lymphatic capillaries, we said, right? So it enters into the lymphatic capillaries first. Lymphatic capillaries. These lymphatic capillaries, what they receive into them means, so into which tissue fluid as well as the nutrients, the waste, nothing but the metabolic waste as well as the carbon dioxide will enter. Why? Because these lymphatic capillaries, so they are very thin in nature and they are provided with microscopic pores in their walls. Because of that only, tissue fluid as well as the other nutrients and then the metabolic waste can enter into the lymphatic capillaries. Such lymphatic capillaries merge. Such many lymphatic capillary merge in order to form lymphatic vessels. Lymphatic capillaries merge to form the lymphatic vessels. These lymphatic vessels are equal to veins. Such lymphatic vessels formed. Such lymphatic vessels formed. So they open into these lymphatic vessels open into, or they pour the lymph back into the circulatory system. But where they pour means, such lymphatic vessels open into, what is that one? The left and then the right side. What are that left and right side of the body means here? Into the left thoracic duct and then the right side, what it is called as a right lymphatic duct. So name of this duct is very important for the NEET examination. Remember, the lymphatic vessels from the left side open into the left thoracic duct. Lymphatic vessels from the right side of the body opens into right lymphatic duct. Left one is thoracic duct. The left one is called a thoracic duct. Right one is called as a lymphatic duct. Okay. Further they open into, further these ducts opens into, or they pour into, okay, subclavian vein. So they open into subclavian vein. That is, right one opens into a right subclavian vein, left one opens into a left subclavian vein. Left subclavian vein. So remember, initially lymphatic capillaries which receive the tissue fluid into them, that is tissue fluid into them, then they converge or they merge to form lymphatic vessels. These lymphatic vessels are equal to that of the veins. So such lymphatic vessels again, means such various lymphatic vessels formed, they open into or they get connected into a principal vessels present in our lymphatic system called as right lymphatic duct, and then the left is thoracic duct. So right lymphatic vessels open into a right subclavian vein. So right lymphatic vessels first open into lymphatic duct, and that right lymphatic duct open into right subclavian vein. The left lymphatic vessels open into left thoracic duct. Left thoracic duct open into left subclavian vein. Okay. Which one? Same composition only. Same composition only. Then these subclavians, then open into, then they opens into, okay, then they open into vena cava. What is the vena cava? A major vein present in our body. They open into vena cava, nothing but the major veins in our body, and the lymph returns into, so that lymph now returns into circulatory system again. From the circulatory system, some of the liquid component of the plasma escaped from the blood capillaries and entered into the interstitial space. Now it returned back into that circulatory system only. Okay. So before or from when it got exuded out of the blood capillaries and before return into the circulatory system, okay, it completes the exchange of the nutrients, or exchange of the materials between the tissue fluid and then the tissues. So when it leaves out, okay, then it gives or it supply the nutrients as well as the oxygen into the body tissues, and in return it carry the carbon dioxide and the wastes from the tissues released. Then the blood which is returned into the circulatory system will be having metabolic waste as well as the carbon dioxide in it. Metabolic waste as well as carbon dioxide. In this way, this lymph acts as or the tissue fluid acts as a middleman of the body. Then what are the functions of such lymph? So in this diagram, what you can observe here means the left one is called as thoracic duct, and then the right one is called as lymphatic duct, into which what happens, from the lymphatic vessels, the lymph will enter back into the lymphatic system. So these right lymphatic duct and then the left thoracic duct, then they open into the ducts. What those ducts are called as? The principal duct. What these ducts are called as? These are called as subclavian duct. These are called as subclavian duct. That is left subclavian duct and then the right subclavian duct. That opens through the vena cava into the heart. Vena cava directly into the heart only. Okay. Now, so here and there in this lymphatic vessels, we can find the formation of nodules, right? Nodules. What these are called as? So what these are called as? Lymph nodes. These are called as lymph nodes, right? If they are present at the lower limbs, okay, these are called as inguinal. So these lymph nodes are inguinal lymph nodes present near to the inguinal canal of the reproductive system, right? So in reproductive system, inguinal canal we will discuss, right? Through which the spermatic cord leaves the testis into the abdominal canal, right? So inguinal lymph nodes are present, and also here there will be a presence of the groin, right? Here there will be the presence of another part called as the groin. What do you mean by groin? What do you mean by groin? Groin, nothing but the loose fold of skin provided with high moisture content as well as the temperature. Usually, so wherever the folds are present in our skin, for example at the armpit, and between the hip and then the thigh region, so here the fold of the skin will be present, that is called as groin. So in that groin there will be presence of lymph nodes, and at the inguinal area lymph nodes are present, and also these lymph nodes are called as cervical lymph nodes, which are present at the cervix region. Those are called as cervical lymph nodes. So this is just for the reference of the location of the lymph nodes. What are the functions of the lymph then? Okay, which includes the lymph nodes, lymphatic vessels, capillaries, and then the veins also, right? So what are the functions of the lymph nodes? So by this we will get to know that one, as it is connected with the intestine, it helps in the absorption of the nutrients, Then the lymphatic vessels which are connecting into the intestine, what these are called as? These lymphatic vessels are called as lacteal, okay? So these are called as lacteals, right? The lacteals helps in the absorption of fat into the bloodstream. So let's write now what are the functions of the lymph. So let's write regarding the functions of a lymph. So what are the functions of lymph then? What are the functions of lymph? Yes, the first one is transport of oxygen and then the nutrients. It helps in the transport of oxygen and nutrients into tissues, so oxygen and nutrients into the tissues, and the removal of